You write a lot about the relationship between animals and people in your books. Why do you think that connection is so special in books like The Butterfly Lion?
Well, I suppose I have an underlying belief in that we are simply one of the sentient creatures who inhabit this planet. We happen to have become the master race and manipulate and exploit and use up other species that are here, but actually we function the same way most of them do. We struggle to survive, we feed ourselves, we procreate, and then we die. And we are sentient. We have a certain intelligence, and all these creatures, from plants, from amoeba up to anything, they have their own levels of intelligence and understanding of the world about them. And we are very sophisticated, which is, we have developed that sophistication through all sorts of things. So I think we're one of our fellow creatures, not separate from it, which I know is not necessarily what a lot of religions think. A lot of religions seem to have put us on a pedestal, and that God has made this whole thing for us to use up. Well, I kind of don't think that happened. I don't believe it. I believe we're one of them, and I believe we've got enormously strong links with them. So they feel pain like we do. So take a horse, for instance. Anyone who's been near a horse knows it knows fear. It knows irritation. If you watch a fly land on a horse's back and the skin shake and the tail swishes, we do the same thing with a fly. We have all sorts of responses like that. If you hit a horse and it hurts, it'll cry out, just like we do. There's so many things that are the same. And what you realize is that you can make relationships. Based on our sameness, you can make relationships with them. I've witnessed it. I have a lucky thing in my life in that my wife started this charity, Farms for City Children, 40 years ago. And since then, literally tens of thousands of children have been down to the farm, our farm where we live, on the land all around us. And I've worked with them for 25 years of my life, with animals. So I've seen children and animals in close proximity. Children often, to start with, if they're really quite old, 11, 12, 13, sometimes quite nervous of them already. The younger ones, much, much less so. Teachers, really nervous of them very often. You know, you put many teachers in a piggery with a boar rearing up to say hello and slobbering. A lot of teachers will back away.
I'm sure there are teachers whose pupils would like to put them in a
Absolutely.
piggery.
Anyway, it's what I've watched is the extraordinary thing of children and the effect they have on the animals and the effect the animals have on them. And you realize there's a real interest in, and the fear dissipates very, very quickly on both sides. So time and time again, for instance, again with horses, which we have on the farm, or cows, you can walk into a barn. I can walk into a barn, sort of big, with a noisy voice, and they'll all go, whoa, and they'll go off to a far corner, or they'll turn their back on you. If a small child walks in, interesting, there's no threat. And if the child speaks in a still small voice, which children often do, particularly if they're told that's a good idea, you feel the animals calming, and they calm each other. And the number of upset children, really upset children, we have many of them who come to the farm, who will put their hand on a horse's neck and have enormous comfort from this proximity and trust and affection through touch, which you almost can't do. The last time for a lot of children may have been a mother who really loved them to have this kind of sensitivity about touch. So that's what it is. I've witnessed it. I've been in this wonderful position of knowing that there is this extraordinary connection between us. And so stories, one story after, whether it's an elephant or it's a tiger or a horse, I'm trying to work out which animals I haven't exploited in this way in my books.
Octopuses are meant to be very intelligent, aren't they?
I better get on with that.
You haven't done an octopus
Yeah,
yet.
absolutely.
Slightly trickier
being
in the water.
Yeah, 8 legs. Mind you, I saw one the other day. It was interesting. It's interesting you said it. And this is what happens, actually. People mention something, you suddenly realise, hang on, there's a point here. I was by the beach the other day in Ithaca, and there was a beautiful family who came down to bathe at 5 o'clock. every evening there was Granny, there was great grandpa, there was Mum, there was Dad. I don't know how many kids, and they just loved. They came to the same place every single day, and the daddy of the family had reached under this little sort of jetty thing and come out with this octopus wrapped around his fingers. Now, the normal thing, if that happened in England, is everyone was screamed and run away. And of course, these kids are so used to the whole thing. They're so used to the little fish. So they all wanted to touch it, and you could see this thing. And I knew that octopus was going to end up in the pot that night. And so I said to him the next day, did the octopus taste good? And he said, what? I said, did it taste good? I didn't eat it. He said, it was a nice one. I thought it was sweet.
It was a friendly one.
It was a friendly one.